There are corners of the world that hold surprising secrets. In northern Pakistan, amidst massive snow-covered mountains, we find a community that preserves its identity, its way of seeing the universe, and its approach to everyday life. We've crossed harsh mountain ranges to reach this place, where an ancient fort of the local ruler still stands, a figure who continues to hold influence over these lands. Our destination is home to the Kalash, a unique group who in earlier times were enslaved by the people of Chitral. Today they continue safeguarding their traditions, which predate major religions and withstand the transformations of the modern world. Following narrow, winding trails, we move forward toward a place few dare to explore. With each turn, we leave behind the familiar world and get closer to a culture that keeps alive the roots of a pre-Buddhist, pre-Islamic, and pre-Hindu past. Deep within the Himalayas, this heritage endures, nearly lost in time yet strong in its essence. Join this journey to discover what makes the Kalash so special. After hours on the road, the group finally reached the Rumbar Valley, home to the Kalash people. They're known for their unique customs and easygoing way of interacting with visitors. Here, the men typically stay clean-shaven, while the women move around freely in colorful outfits, without covering their faces or minding photos. To really understand the local culture, you have to observe their everyday lives. People often gather for community activities full of singing and dancing. Spending time in the village reveals habits quite different from other parts of Pakistan. Their hospitality is remarkable, making the experience even more engaging. The origins of the Kalash spark curiosity. Some believe they descend from ancient Bulgarian tribes, while others suggest connections to Macedonia and ancient Greece. Their physical traits, such as lighter skin and sometimes even light-colored eyes, strengthen these theories. The debate continues, but their cultural heritage remains clearly alive through the way they dress, interact, and preserve their traditions. Ancient stories tell us about the path taken by Alexander the Great's armies as they marched toward India, looking for cultures, jewels, and spices. Some of these troops from Macedonia and ancient Greece might have gotten lost in the valleys and mixed with local peoples. That's why there's an idea of a group with features similar to those from the Balkans and Eastern Europe, along with Persian influences picked up from their travels through Iran. Today, in Kalash territory around the Himalayas, there's a scene symbolizing cultural resistance. In an increasingly homogenized world, this group holds on to its traditions, its unique understanding of reality and nature, and its distinctive way of experiencing spirituality. They are few and surrounded by other peoples, yet they maintain a special identity, almost as if isolated on a tiny island. As time goes on, communities like these become rarer. That's why knowing and sharing their stories matters so much. When we reach the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan, we find this resilient group, determined to protect their heritage instead of letting it go. Even surrounded by a rapidly changing world, they hold strong to their own way of seeing things. The Kalash are a community fully settled in their valleys, where farming and raising livestock are at the heart of their daily life. In these lands, big mountain goats roam alongside a few cows and a single horse, creating a scene that highlights how important animal husbandry is here. Higher up, crops grow well, and honey plays an essential role, especially in teas. Their cooking reflects country life, with goat meat often taking center stage, and nuts included even in their bread. But what's most striking during each visit is the people's hospitality. They warmly welcome visitors, generously sharing their way of life in a genuine and unforgettable manner. It's interesting to notice that in that area, women seem pretty comfortable, while young girls still show a bit of shyness. That adds to the feeling their roots might connect back to Eastern Europe, especially given the way they greet visitors. Something that catches people's attention is how easy it is to use drones there. There's not much police presence and the locals are fine with drone flights, so the kids eagerly gather around to watch, fascinated by it all. There's also very little risk of kidnapping since the roads running through these valleys don't lead into the rest of Pakistan. The landscape is so rugged that it's nearly impossible to reach Afghanistan or go beyond what the terrain allows. This isolation makes things calmer, It's common for locals to host visitors in their homes, creating a warm and welcoming atmosphere. Over the years, the Kalash community in northern Pakistan has seen significant changes in their customs and appearance. In the past, men would often wear flowers and feathers as part of their traditional outfits, but nowadays these clothes are mostly limited to festivals and rituals. For everyday life, many prefer typical Pashtun clothing or even Western-style outfits. Despite this, Kalash women and girls still proudly wear their traditional clothing, which remains one of the most recognizable symbols of the tribe. They tend to be more approachable when greeting and interacting with visitors, but they don't always feel safe moving around freely. This caution comes from past kidnappings and violence committed by groups crossing the region from Afghanistan or other parts of Pakistan. In some cases, women have been forced into arranged marriages or trafficked into brothels. Being an isolated minority, they don't always receive enough protection from local authorities. Because of this, families often choose to keep women and girls at home, trying their best to protect them from disappearing. The Kalash are a unique group known for their animist rituals and traditionally dark-colored clothing. Over time, they began adding vibrant colors to their outfits, but they still carry the legacy of the Urdu term kafir, meaning pagan or non-believer in Allah. In the past, the whole region was called Kafiristan, reinforcing the idea of a people who believed in nothing, used negatively by others. Today, you can still spot details of their more traditional clothing. Black dominates the outfits, but there are decorations like shells and embroidery on their hair ornaments and clothing edges. Surprising stories pop up at every meeting, like the one about an elderly woman whose exact age no one knows. People say she remembers the moment when the first British arrived in the region in the early 1900s, suggesting she might be over 100 years old. This connection to the past is clear in everything she wears, in her jewelry, and even in her hairstyle. They say these villages stayed isolated until the British discovered them, and today the Kalash still hold on to memories from that period. It's remarkable to witness people who lived through parts of that history and continue traditions that have survived centuries. The way they make bread sparks curiosity. Locals place the dough directly onto the fireplace, a practice some people say has Greek roots. They have breads with nuts, firmer versions, and even a type that looks like a thin crepe. In the same spot, you'll find cheese that also hints at Greek traditions, which stands out against the surrounding environment. The local diet mainly revolves around wild fruits and herbs, honey, nuts, cheeses, and some types of meat, especially goat. For those who grew up there, knowing little about cities or technology, this lifestyle feels like the perfect retreat, relying on what nature provides. Another interesting thing is that in this specific part of the country, people can drink alcohol, something rare in other regions of Pakistan. In this small Kalash village, each family makes their own wine using grapes grown right in their backyard. The place is old and shows signs of a culture that stands out because of the way men and women live together. There are some hints of sexism, which isn't surprising since many parts of the world have it to some degree. But even with that, the Kalash society is remarkable. They're surrounded by Muslim communities like the Pashtuns, where women are rarely seen in public and have very limited freedoms. In the Kalash village, though, men and women share daily tasks, creating a stark contrast with the world around them. This difference sparks curiosity about how these people manage to hold on to their traditions while still valuing cooperation. In a remote area of the mountains in Central Asia live the Kalash, a community spread across 3 valleys. Stories say their ancestors came on horseback from Eastern Europe, eventually settling in this last valley, where ancient traditions still survive. Part of their belief system is animism, which teaches that after death, a person might become a mountain animal, a tree, or even a wild goat. Because of this, it's common to see wooden sculptures representing ancestors, like a carved horse, placed in cemeteries or sacred spots. Tonight, the Kalash community gathers for the Winter Festival, a celebration marking the start of the new season. Between 100 and 200 people usually get together around a bonfire to sing, dance, and experience rituals connected to spiritual and animist traditions. It's a time when their bond with nature becomes clear. Wind, snow, fire, animals, and trees all play an important role in this gathering. As the mountains around them quietly watch, an elder always explains the origins and meanings behind each of the three Kalash rituals: the planting season, the harvest, and winter. On this night, they welcome the season of rest, thanking and honoring the forces surrounding their village. This is when their respect for nature is most visible, showing the deep appreciation they have for the environment and everything in it. In a remote region, communities gather around a bonfire to celebrate the arrival of winter. Their goal is simple: to ask for enough snowfall to cover everything, killing off pests and ensuring good harvests when seasons change. For these people, each yearly cycle is seen as a partner, not something to fear. They're mountain animists who believe every part of nature has its own power and deserves respect. From an Islamic point of view, rituals like these are seen as pagan. Many find it strange watching people dance and sing around a fire, praying to forces that outsiders don't fully understand. It makes sense that people would feel this way, since these traditions have survived against time and the harsh environment. And when I mention islands of resistance, I'm not just talking about one area in Pakistan, but also its closeness to Afghanistan. Even though they're surrounded by places dominated by other religions, they hold on to their customs tightly, making sure they don't disappear. In 7 days, the Kalash people will begin one of their most important rituals: the sacrifice, usually of goats, offered to nature. But it's not about celebrating death. For them, blood is the ultimate symbol of life, and by shedding it, they reaffirm the cycle of life that they believe keeps everything balanced around them. In this tradition, the idea of sacrifice takes on a different meaning. It's a deep connection with natural forces. It's a moment when they come together to give thanks, ask for protection, and most of all, honor what they see as sacred. Every drop offered carries a wish for prosperity and respect for the land that supports them. Wrapping up our time with the Kalash reveals a unique culture that continues to intrigue travelers and researchers alike. It turns out that women there have an interesting tradition. When they're menstruating, they stay in a specific house until the end of their cycle. In parts of Nepal, this happens in even more isolated mountain locations, which can be tougher. But among the Kalash, the setup is reasonably comfortable, with heating for colder days. Another interesting point is their local language, which is only spoken, not written. There are now efforts underway to transcribe it, aiming to preserve this knowledge and prevent it from disappearing over generations. Meanwhile, winter's arrival imposes its limits. There's little time left before snow blocks the roads, ending the season when visitors usually come. It's in this setting that a new clue has emerged. People say that beyond these villages, hidden along mountain paths, there's another ethnic group very few know about. It would be the end of the region, something hardly ever mentioned. Even though time is tight, curiosity is too strong to ignore. That's why the journey goes on. In the next video, we'll find out what's beyond this remote spot and discover another chapter in this distant corner of the world.